Hello viewers, this is Kedzis and welcome to the channel. You probably have seen in FreeCAD we have the Shapebinder and Subshapebinder tools. In this video, I'm going to talk about similarities and differences between these two tools and how and where to use them effectively in your CAD model. I will be referring Subshapebinder as binder going forward in this video. Okay, so in order to demonstrate the similarities and the differences between the binder and the shape binder, I have two files open in the same FreeCAD environment. One is called the binder, which is this green guy, and the other one is the shape binder, which is this blue one. So okay, so I don't have anything in both the files. I'm going to create some models or maybe simple primitives, and then I will try to demonstrate what are the similarities and the differences between the two. Now, one thing I would like to emphasize is before coming to this tutorial, go and watch I have two tutorials created previously on the shape binder, the concept behind the shape binder, and if you watch them and if you kind of browse through them, even if you don't spend time on it, it will be helpful to understand this, because I'll be I'm assuming that you have some fundamental understanding behind the shape binder. So now, right off the bat, let's start with the binder file, which is corresponding to this guy. I'm going to create a binder here, and it just created a binder without any bodies. It didn't have anything to latch onto, but it created a binder. Now let's go to the other file and see, try to create a shape binder. It does not allow you to do that. What it says is you need an active body to create a shape binder. So okay, so that's number one difference. Okay, now let's put a shape binder. Let's do the body first and see what happens. Now I have to create some kind of a body or a sketch, and then I'll sketch it, and then I'll create a body on that. Pretty simple. I'm going to go and pad this guy, let's say some number, some thickness. Now I have this body. Now shape binder is typically, what you do is you create a body and you pick a shape or a face on that body and link to another body, right? So I need another body in this file, so I'm going to create a second body, and now I'm going to link up this guy to this guy. So I'm going to pick this face and say create a shape binder. So it automatically picked the face 6, which is this one, and now you have a shape binder created, right? Now then I can transform this guy. Now something that I haven't shown in my previous video is I'm able to transform the second body, and the shape binder will move along with that. Okay, now one thing to be aware of, this trace support option. Okay, it's now switched, its flag is switched on to false. Now if I go and switch that flag to true, what happens? Okay, now it is not able to move. It goes back to the origin where it is. Now if I try to move this body, it seems like I can, but it will always switch back to the original location. So something to keep in mind, this trace support thing is always there, that you can switch it on and switch it off. So I'm going to switch off for now, and it went back to its original coordinates where we had earlier. Okay, now let's go back into the binder, and let's do something with that and see what we can do with it. Okay, I'm going to create a body. Now this binder is not anyway attached to anything. It's just, in the file. It has no features attached to it. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to create the same thing. I'm going to create a body here, and let's pick something, and let's say okay, something similar to what we did in the last file. Let's Okay, so we got that. Now now I'm going to do is, let's see, if I can I drag and drop it here? So it allows you to drag and drop into the body. Now still it doesn't mean much, but it can move around. Okay, now let's do a second body just like we did on the other one. Okay, we have to go back. Sorry, we have to go back. Yeah, then just created that one. Now within this, I can let's try a few tricks here. I'm going to delete this guy, and I'm going to see whether I can create a shape binder. So I'm going to create the shape binder here. So it is inside this. Now if I click on this guy, see, okay, nothing happens. Okay, now if I go and click on this guy, you open up this menu. Okay, so that's another difference between the binder and the shape binder. Okay, if you click on it, nothing happens. Now the one way to, just like what we did here, we can pick a face and we can create a binder. Okay, so let's delete that and let's pick a face and see what happens. Yeah, so we created a binder similar to what we did in the other model. So essentially what I'm doing is almost doing the same thing as what I did in the previous one. It seems to be working. Okay, but only difference is you have to pick the face and then click on the binder to create one. Okay, you cannot do the other way around. Okay, now can we move this guy just like we did, okay, in the previous case? Now unlike, you can transform. Let's see whether we can transform this guy just like we did last time. It does not allow you to do that. Now let's see. Okay, so accidentally I fall into the other model, but let's see what options we have here to do the transformation. Now the reason is this is always it get attached to this body. Okay, just like when you trace support on, in this case it was not able to move around. Let's see whether there's anything we can do in this bind option that we can do. Okay, now if you see that you have synchronize, frozen and detach, there are several options available. I'm going to say, sounds like detach would make a difference, so I'm going to recompute it and see whether I can transform stuff around here. I detach it. So yeah, so now it allows you to detach it. Okay, now so that's the key thing, right? I went here and I made the option detach, and that allowed me to transform this object. Now both files we got the same thing here. Okay, similar thing, at least not the same thing but similar stuff. Okay, now we have to do some in a little bit different way, but seems like they were both work the same way. Okay, let's investigate more, and I'm going to use this and create maybe like another body with a pad in it. So it needs to actually pick the shape binder and pad it. Okay, I'm going to keep it as it is just to make things a little bit different. Okay, now go back to the binder. Let's pick this guy. Let's see if we can pad that guy. Yeah, it seems like he's allowing you to pad it as well. So we are doing the same thing and it seems like it's working. Okay, now let's do one more thing here. Now shape binder is always the second body is bound to the first one by that, from that shape, or maybe I would say the proper way to say that is shape binder is binding the two bodies. Okay, now let's go back and open this guy and change few things around here. Let's change the sketch, see what happens. So yeah, so that both change, which is expected, right? For the shape binder one, since these are kind of a linked together, one changes, the other one change, right? Let's go and look at the binder option and see what happens if we change stuff around. Now one thing you have to keep in mind is that when I went and detached it, okay, now that's play a significant role here. Let's do this. Let's change it. Maybe make it a little bit okay, something like this. See what happens. It did not change. Okay, so that's the key difference. It's another significant difference between the two. I would say this is the most significant difference between the two, the bind and the shape binder. Now of course you have no option here. You always, when you change the body, the parent body sketch, other one changes. There's no option around that. Okay, because there aren't any options available here for us to change. Now let's go back to the binder and see whether we can do something about it. Now we went to this option and we said detach, right? Now the reason why it did not change was because I detached it. Now if I had it synchronized, this would have changed the same way. Okay, so that's the thing that you need to understand. Now I can, if I go back and try to change it to synchronize, it doesn't change. Okay, it doesn't change. Yeah, even if I try to do that, it doesn't. It's because it's already kind of a foregone conclusion that it is detached. Okay, but I can demonstrate by, maybe I delete this body, I go and recreate the body again, put a let's pick this guy, create a binder. Now I have this binder, it's synchronized. Now if I do and if I go and let's say another thing you can do here is you can position your binder by moving stuff here. So if I want to, let's say I'm going to move it by 1 inch. So that's another way to do that. Now since it is synchronized, that's the only way for you to move the binder. Okay, let's do 2 inches. Let's move it in X direction 1 inch. So we got let's put like 3 inches. Okay, now let's pick this guy and let's pad this. Gonna keep it as it is. Now if I go and change this guy, okay, so that changed both because I had the binder option as synchronized, and that's the reason why it changed. Okay, so if I had it option as detached, it would not change, as I demonstrated earlier. Now what is this frozen thing means? The frozen thing is kind of a partially detached. Okay, I mean I'm not going to demonstrate that, but it is partially detached. It will do the same thing as detach, but what happens is you can come back to this binder, the bind mode, and change it to synchronized. Okay, that's the key difference between the detach and frozen. Frozen is kind of a temporary. It is temporary detached, but you can come back to the context menu and change it to synchronized. Okay, so that's the key difference between detach and the frozen. But essentially, you know, these are three options that you can use in the binder mode. Now we don't have those options in the shape binder. Okay, so that's the, I would say that's the most fundamental difference between the binder and the shape binder. Now of course there are a couple of other advantages you have in the binder, and I'll show you that as well. Now for instance, let's say I'm going to delete this guy for now. I have this shape. I'm going to create another body here, and now in this body I'm going to create a sketch, say XY, and create a circle somewhere, and let's say I'm going to pad that guy. Let's make it one. Okay, so now let's say I want to use this guy to do like a sectioning or cut this object, but I don't want to, you know, do a boolean operation, and when you try to cut it, you know, whatever the cutter will get kind of it will cut it, but it will also get removed while you are doing that boolean operation. Right now if you have the shape binder or the binder, you can avoid that. Now how to do that is, let's see, can put a can create a okay, two, I need only one. Now what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to move this guy into the parent tree. Okay, it's kind of a standalone binder. Okay, now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop this guy into this. Now if I switch this guy off, I have some kind of a body, or this is the binder. It is took the shape of this body. It's kind of a, seems like it's a little bit hollow or something, but that doesn't matter. All I need to do is to use this guy to cut this guy, right? Let's try to do that. So before that, we have to move this guy. So the way to move him is, I don't have any options to transform, but I can, you know, move it by giving its coordinates. So let's see, I need to probably move like 1 inch. Maybe that's not going to be enough. Maybe 3 inches. Okay, and then I need to move it in y direction, be like minus 0.5. Okay, maybe a bit more, 1 inch. Okay, yeah, I think that should be fine. We just need to get some kind of a cut, maybe 1.5. Okay, so we got that positioned. Now what we could do is do a boolean operation. Let's go and go to the part. I always go to the part and do boolean operations, that kind of things. I think it's pretty easy to do that. So I say difference, pick body 1, which is this body, and then I pick the bind as my cutting tool and say apply. Okay, so now you got that part cut done. Now I have the original body, okay, but I have the section body as well. Now this is just an object. All you need to do is to go back to part, or the part design, I mean, and create a body, and then I need to just drag this object into the body. So you got this guy. Okay, so yeah, so that's another advantage you have using the binder. Now let's demonstrate one more quick thing here. Now if I, you have this binder, right? Now let's say I move this guy by 1 inch, and I want to create a sketch on this guy. Now in the case of Shapebinder, you can use the Shapebinder. Maybe I will just demonstrate that. Let's pick this guy, create a Shapebinder, and then I can, so it is over here. I can use this guy, pick on it, and create. Let's say, okay, no, that's not what I want to do. Okay, it doesn't give me the option to pick that face. Or maybe what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these guys. Okay, and delete the sketch as well. Going to just say create a sketch, and I'm going to have I've given the option to pick this Shapebinder as an option to create the sketch. Okay, now I can use that to create a sketch. Now if I go here, let's see if I can do that. Create a sketch. It doesn't give me the option to pick this binder face to create a section, create a sketch. So those are the kind of differences and the similarities between the binder and the Shapebinder. Okay, so what are the advantages then one over the other? It depends on what your application is, right? For instance, the Shapebinder. Now, for instance, you probably remember I created a file or a model where I created more like a cooler box with a lid. Okay, and that essentially where you had lid and the box connected. So when it's a parametric model, when you change one, the box, when you change the box, lid changes, right? This one. Okay, so and I used the Shapebinder to bind the box to the lid. That way, every time I change the box, lid changes along with that. So that's advantages, right? That's a good example where you could use the Shapebinder. Now, where you should not be using the Shapebinder and use binder is where you just need some kind of a reference surface extracted, move it to the location you want to change stuff, and use that, and then whatever you do after that to the parent body or to the second body, they should not link together. So if one changes, other one should not change. So in that scenario, you could probably use the binder, because Shapebinder will always, both are linked together, they would change. One changes, the other one change. So that's I can see only maybe the one advantage you have using the binder. I think the binder is, in a sense, binder is a recent creation in FreeCAD. So maybe at some point in time, they will get merged together, or they might, you know, or maybe you will have more options added to the binder, so that you kind of distinguish the two more, the functions of the two will be more distinguishable. Okay, so this is the tutorial, just a quick tutorial for you guys. Hopefully you liked it, and if it is, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave in the comment section, and I can respond back. And as I said earlier, this is one of the questions that one of the viewers asked. What are the differences between the binder and the shape binder? So I was trying to answer him. So, and by the time that I created this tutorial as well. Okay, see you guys in the next video. Have a blessed day.